Hello, hello.
Hi.
What's up, beautiful people? This is Wise Conversations. I'm Felix.
And I'm Kenya.
Yeah,
and I feel like we should say something else. And we're
we're the Wise family.
All right. Yep.
Yeah. So it's a beautiful day out here. It's rained last night, so you get that kind of
Dewy.
Yeah, that dewy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The dewy sensation, I guess. You know, it's a
humidity,
phenomenon.
Another word for it.
No, humidity. It's definitely humid, but it's actually cool.
I got this hat on for a reason. Hallelujah.
Yo, it's been hot, and this feels good. It's a nice breeze, and we hope that this episode is like a cool breeze to you. You know, It's like a breath of fresh air.
And it's on a new day. We're just doing we're doing Wednesdays now. I feel like it works for us. It's hump beautiful. Day. You know, to get you over the hump. You know what I mean?
That's it.
A little speed bump action. But, babe, what are we getting into today?
We're talking about red flags in relationships and I guess more like friendships. It could be
red flags in friendships.
In friendships, yeah, more specifically
in relationships. Not like you can take these red flags for every relationship
really
you have,
any
but
relationship.
we're really focusing on friends, and the reason why we're like focusing in on this specific topic is specifically because, again, we see so much potential in a lot of people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I believe that sometimes when you surround yourself with bad company, it can choke your dream out.
Yeah.
It can choke out your full potential of who you can be. And I feel like some people will thrive better if they didn't have certain people in their lives. And it's one of those things where as we go into the red flags, as we go into this conversation, this is not for you to by any means, like, you know, throw eggs at somebody's house, you know, like, you know what, I'm cutting you off, and here's 5 eggs and toilet paper.
Here's 5
you know
eggs.
What I mean?
Why?
But it's like more so for you to, I don't know if y'all ever wrote essays and stuff, like them double space essays. Some people need a double space from you.
Yeah, just
and some people need a single space.
Yeah, you can.
Today we're doing double space.
Yeah.
Fill the page.
Yeah, exactly. The page of your story.
Yes.
It's important. It's because what you were saying, you know, it's bad company corrupts good behavior. You know, it's kind of like the good kid, mad city scenario. It's like if you're in an environment where it's choking the seed, choking the potential, choking the gift, the uniqueness in you, it can be traced to your surroundings, you know what I'm saying? And so it's very important.
That's really good, because sometimes, you know, a lot of times when we're talking about, because we talk about marriage bed, and we just even talk about the different types of gardens within your life, and specifically when you said that and stuff, sometimes you'll be looking at the soil to see, why am I not growing? You'll check the soil, and they're like, the soil's good, but you don't realize that, the soil's good, but then you still have plants that are choking you out. So it's like, okay, the soil's good, so what's the problem? It might be some people who are choking out your growth. So it's time to observe the garden.
Absolutely.
And pluck some cats out, because I think it's like certain plants, like even within real life, like within the physical realm and stuff like that, there's certain not plants but certain foods that you can grow. I think like tomatoes don't really grow well with this other vegetable, or like potatoes don't grow well when they're around this vegetable, but like tomatoes really thrive when you plant them near basil. You know what I mean? They're richer in taste when you plant them near basil. And so this episode's really for you to find your basils, and to get rid of whatever chokes out a tomato, because I don't know.
Exactly. Whichever that is. And disclaimer, we are outside, so if you hear birds, we always say this on every episode, and beware of Lily. Hopefully she'll be calm and cool. But yeah, just a little disclaimer. But that is so powerful. And one of the red flags is, of course, downplaying your dreams and your aspirations.
Yeah.
And not valuing or lifting up or being concerned about one's dreams, goals, and aspirations. And could you go deeper on that?
Yeah. And specifically, I even want to tell y'all a little bit how this can look. Sometimes it's not even like, boy, you can't do that, but it might be always joking you about it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, haha, here comes the rider.
Right.
You gonna ride or something?
Right.
Even stuff like that. And I'm gonna be honest with you all. Y'all need to start take deeper notes of the jokes that your friends make with you.
Wow.
Because a lot of times, and we even talked about this as well, like within things that we don't do in our marriage, and I had to come out and stuff. And honestly, like, I used to joke at Felix's expense, and even though, like, specifically my heart, that's just how my family did things, but, like, really, it's toxic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because those jokes, and oftentimes when it comes from friends, you know what I mean? Like, it can have a meaning behind it, and it can have almost like they're trying to bring you down, but in a polite way, so you'll still keep being friends with them. They won't do enough for you to stop being friends with them, but they'll do enough to discourage you to grow above them.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And it's almost this it's very toxic in that way. And another thing as well, when it comes to being careful as well, like, I'm so sorry, babe, I lost my whole train of thought. What was I saying?
Yeah, you were talking about just how how basically, you know what I mean, that it can start as a light thing and a kind of subtle thing and like kind of hidden notes, undertones, if you will, of, you know, trying to bring you down, but only enough to still stay within the relationship, to stay clear, to fly clear.
Do they get excited when you get excited about things?
Right.
Do they get excited when it's time to celebrate you? That is that.
That's super key.
I cannot, y'all, count on my fingers the amount of weddings I've been to my whole life. I'm talking about like my whole life, where like the bride and groom will be up there and you just see cats mad who are on there. Yeah. It'll be bridesmaids or even groomsmen just looking crazy.
Looking so crazy.
Looking like, man, I wish like this person. It's like you can feel it. And in my head, I'm like looking around, I'm like, yo, is anyone else peeping this?
Is anyone catching this? Like,
but it's like, and these are the people that they brought up for them to even like go into marriage with. But like you can see in like their faces that they're not excited that they're getting married. Right. You know what I mean? And not in cases where, say, if your friend is like wanting to marry off like a toxic dude or a toxic woman, I completely understand you have an attitude, but it would be like a good dude or a good woman, and they're just sitting up there just looking, and then you be trying to like you know, you trying to take a video of your friend getting married, because you know you in the audience, you trying to take video of your friend getting married, but then you like wanting to kind of crop out the bridesmaid or the groomsmaid, because you're like, I don't want them to see their friend looking at them like that.
For real,
like, well, friend.
And we've done photography in weddings, and it's just like, dang, I wish we could have.
There were some photos we couldn't use, y'all.
Yeah, we couldn't use some. Like, it was just like, my God, like. And like, it was, you know, it'd be good. It's not like it's like, oh man, the conditions, like it's the weather. Like, nah, like it's just like,
we were in air conditioning.
Everything was good.
The AC was on.
There was food.
You got to eat beforehand.
You got to eat.
They had little trinkets for y'all to get some little, you know what I mean?
Everything.
You got your makeup done for free, and you still looking crazy.
No excuse to look that crazy.
That is a red flag. If it is hard for, I mean, when we say friend, we don't see them as y'all's friends if they're doing this, but I'm just saying that so we don't have to say quote unquote each time. Right.
That's it. The word says rejoice with those who rejoice. Exactly. And if you can't do that, and if the person that you're with can't rejoice in your achievements, that's one sign. That is very, you know, it's a great indicator that, you know, maybe there's some insecurity, some jealousy, some envy, and that's just not good to be around, because it'll discourage you. It'll almost shipwreck your faith, and then it's just like it can stunt your growth.
I've literally seen, like, I'll never forget. We were walking around this one neighborhood, and there's this dude. He was a kid, you know what I mean? Like maybe early teens or late teens or something like that. And it was like, we could both tell that he was such a good kid. But then his friend was just looking mad right next to him.
Wow,
and it was his homie. You remember that?
I remember
and he was
that.
like, yeah, because, you know, I want to do this, I want to do that. And his friend was like, because, you know, they were, we were like in these projects, like in in Atlanta and stuff like that and everything. And it was just like, you can just see, like, it was almost like you could see his friend's eyes beaming. And then, like, next thing you know it, like, we prayed for the dude and we encouraged him. Was like, yo, you can do these things, bro. You're gonna go off. And then next thing you know it, like, as soon as we left him, we were just like walking around and stuff and just loving on everyone and everything. And it was so crazy because, like, when we kind of like hit this one cul-de-sac and stuff, we saw his friend like talking to him and stuff, and it was like, you can tell that he was like,
he was bringing them back down.
Exactly. And you can tell how his friend, you can literally see it where his friend like and stuff was like up, and you can see him start crouching his shoulders down,
creeping back down.
You know what I mean?
And it can be that
and he started passing the, you feel me? He
passing
was like,
the blunt.
You know what I mean? He would start passing the blunt to him, be like, you know,
like, buddy, just got a good word, just passed him the blood to try to silence and trying to
and
hinder.
not to celebrate the word.
It wasn't a celebration blunt.
It was not a celebration blunt.
Again, the count, you can tell, and this is a key for discernment. You can tell a lot about somebody that you're with in their countenance. And the scripture talks about that a lot. It says, like, their countenance changed.
Yeah.
And you can see and you can discern. The change in countenance is something that you can identify, like, to where it's like you don't even really need to know what they're, like, they don't have to say anything, but their countenance. What is that person that you're hanging around? What's their countenance look like when you talk about your dreams? What does their countenance look like when you start to talk about your achievement? When you start to talk about your goals? What is their countenance? Is it joy? Is it excitement? Is it wow? Or is it, okay.
Do you catch them ever looking at you in envy? I'm gonna be honest with you. Sometimes, like, I'll never forget it. One time I jumped and stuff, but it was like this one person that was around me and stuff, and I was just chilling, you know. I was just doing my thing, and next thing you know, like I looked up, and I acted like I didn't see them because I didn't want to embarrass them, because I was like, dang, you were looking at me real crazy. That was when it peaked, and I was like, oh, this might be the one that I might need to let go. And then next thing you know, I start to notice different red flags. So sometimes even see how they look at you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Is it a look of envy? Is it a look? Because they could literally cut me with their eyes. Literally. You know what I mean? In that moment. But and another thing as well, and this will be like the last point on this, and then we can go to the next red flag. But also within your conversation, you can tell as well. Yeah. When you when you be like, oh girl, you never guess what happened. If it's like a perkiness that they have, or like, what? And sometimes it's like, what? Because, you know, some people, they like to, I don't know, gossip and stuff like that. Or they're concerned and stuff. But, like, if they can if you have better conversations about your downfalls than you do have, if your conversations when you're going through stuff, it's like they ask more questions and they're talking to you a lot more, is more than when you're excited about something and it's like the conversation doesn't last as long. Be careful about that too. Be careful about, notice your conversations. If you're like, yeah, you know, my boyfriend, he like, and they're like, oh girl, what? And then next thing you know, the conversation's 2 hours, but then it's like, oh my gosh, girl, you'll never realize, like, not sorry, realize, guys, I'm my English right now, but girl, you'll never guess what. I literally just got this opportunity to work with this hairstylist and travel with her to Europe and stuff, and I'm like so excited and like da-da-da-da. They're like, oh, okay, cool, yeah. And if the conversation's short, there's so many questions to ask within that. That's so good.
That's so good. So if the conversation of downfall is 2 hours and the conversation of rejoicing is about 2 minutes, there's a problem.
5 at tops.
5 at tops.
There's a problem.
There's a problem. So that's so key. And what's the next one? Do you remember the next one?
The next red flag, actually, we're just flowing in the conversation. Another red flag too that I wanted to touch on as well is and this is very, very, very important if you are like courting someone or if you are married. You're going to have to help me to explain this, but watch how your friend behaves around your spouse. Wow. You know, specifically, if your friend is being flirty, or like they interact with you in a certain way, but then with your spouse a different way. And you know what I mean, because like there's some people where like you have different type of relationships with each person you're with. So it's like, for example, like we have like a married couple that we hang with all the time, and it's like, you know, I'm like, yo, and I'm throwing out nicknames and stuff, dapping them up and everything, and it's like we have a very jokey relationship. But I also have that with his wife as well. You know what I mean? So if it's one of those things where it's like your friend is like, they even have a different voice when they talk to your man or something like that, where and I'm just speaking on like the woman's side, but this goes for both parties and stuff, where it's like, okay, girl, oh, hey, Felix, hey, and it's like if that thing go up an octave and like you can kind of tell like it's like a little dance movement. And the reason why I say this is not for you to be paranoid, but just be basically what this is just be discerning. Be careful, because sometimes people want what you have, and this isn't for everyone, but I have seen it happen. And it's happened to me, not in our marriage or anything, but I have had it like when we were like, you know, dating and stuff like that, where certain friends, like it was like they always, why are you always touching them? Even if it's his shoulder, like why are you, because you don't even touch me like that, you know what I mean? So why are you touching them? You know what I mean? And so it was like, I was like, oh, okay, we might need to reevaluate, because again, like even though you love your friend, you want to protect your marriage as well. Because what happens when, say, y'all are all at a dinner party or something like that, and you got to go to the bathroom, and then it's just like they're cleaning up the kitchen. You just, you know what I mean?
You have to be careful. It's like if they're more concerned about your spouse than you,
and they were your friend first,
you know, just be mindful of that. And just be discerning of that. And then
I think as well, be discerning of yourself as well within that, because I have seen situations too where somebody will be dry as a mug, and so of course they lean towards your spouse, because your spouse is actually asking them how they're doing, and then you dry with them and stuff. So it's like also be like, are you giving them anything?
Are you giving them any type of
really like view yourself as well. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Take some. I
have seen that happen too.
Take some note of yourself and what you're giving. Like if you're not giving much, it could be that. But that's powerful. And on the men's side, I don't really know too much. I haven't really experienced that on the men's side, and maybe as time, if I get something, but I think
no.
If I think of something, if I think of something that's like, you know what I mean, or like always wanting to be alone with you, like, you know what I'm saying, just like, I don't know, it's just be discerning. I would just say just be discerning, and you know, anything where you feel a discomfort, where you start to, you know, with discernment, it's that gut feeling. You know, it's nothing that you can kind of explain. It's just this uncomfortable feeling. And a lot of times we say it's like, something told me this, something told me that. A lot of time God is trying to tell you in an inward, it's an inward. It's not like a coming from outside, you know, like you said, paranoid or insecure thing. But inside of you, it's just like, this ain't right. Always check that. Always check that indication, especially if it aligns with the word. Always go with that inner voice and that inner witness. And more often than not, you'll stray clear from any of those kind of negative interactions and stuff like that. And you'll be wise and you'll be prudent, seeing danger ahead and going the other way. So that's just key. And in any of these red flags is listen to the inward voice. And really follow that voice, even when it's like it may seem offendable to somebody, and you don't always have to approach them, but just to create that distance or that boundary, it'll more often than not, it'll help you more than it'll harm you.
Exactly. And I think as well, like with some of these red flags, I believe that you can definitely talk to your friend about it, because if they're truly your homie, then it's like you can be real with them and be like, hey, like I just noticed like a girl, and you can even be like, I know it's probably not that but I just feel like this, and then that way, because sometimes, you know, like I even know people who have a more flirtatious personality where they're not really like a flirty person, but it's just like they're just really bubbly and like it's just the way that they are.
Yeah.
So like also like make room for that. Like, hey, like yeah, it makes me a little uncomfortable with this, and they're like, oh my gosh, girl, like, and if you can tell how they react to, we're like, I'm so sorry, like no, it's not like that at all. And so like I think communication is key. With the first thing that we're talking about, I think with that one you probably just need to part ways, because if they're coming against you like that, they might try to wiggle their way out, and I think it's called gaslight or whatever. And yeah, with those, I think it might be wise. You can talk to like mentor, somebody who's who's wise within your life, and be like, hey, like I feel like this, and what do you think, and stuff like that, instead of talking to that person, because again, if they're behaving in that way, they'll try to crawl their way out of it. You know what I mean? That same hole that they try to sneak in, they'll try to slither back out. You know what I mean? So
slide back out.
You gotta stop both ends of the hole.
Yeah,
but,
you just gotta.
Anyway,
and that's another red flag is when they can't respect your boundaries.
Yes.
Another red flag in relationships, if they force you or encourage you to do something that you've made clear that doesn't make you comfortable, that can also be a red flag. Like if you told them that, hey, I don't like to drink, I don't like to drink in public, I don't like to do this or do that, but they don't care, they disregard it. If maybe they forget, it's like, oh yeah, I forgot. But if like they do it not really
and kind of forcing you, like, girl, so you're not going to drink with me, and like it's like, well, I don't really feel, I've had trauma with stuff, you know what I mean? It's just like
exactly, if they're forcing you to do something that's that makes you feel uncomfortable, and that you made known to them, and they don't consider that or take that serious, that could definitely be a red flag for sure.
Exactly. And even with that, I think even if you have, for example, boundaries with certain people. Right. Because I had that as well, where like, I had a friend where I loved them to pieces and stuff, but they had this other like, guy friend or something. And I was like, hey, first of all, I don't think you should be hanging out with them. But if you do, please don't keep me in the mix. Like I don't. And then they're like, okay, girl, like I'm on my way to your crib. Can't wait to hang out with you. Ooh, yay, picnic day. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. You're getting dressed. You're getting ready. Next thing you know, you come out and that guy's in the car. Yep. And you're kind of like, oh. And it's like you can't just go back in your house. Right. You know what I mean? You can't just
you're already out.
You're already out here, and you're just like,
it's like, why did you do that?
Okay, let me get in the back seat. Yeah. And the next thing you know, you're just uncomfortable the whole time. Yeah, you know what I mean? That has happened to me numerous of times. It's crazy. You know what I mean? And it's just like those boundaries are very important because it protects you. A lot of times physically, emotionally, mentally. Yeah. And I think the biggest thing, too, is don't assume your friend knows your boundary. That's another thing. Right. So if you have a boundary, let them know. Like, hey, like, I just really don't like being around this one person. They just make me feel uncomfortable. Yeah. Like, I'm not saying that you have to stop being friends with them or da-da-da-da, but, like, I just can't be around her. Like, hey, like, I really, for me, I'm just pulling back on the drinking. Like, I can't. I don't want to drink anymore. I found myself da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So that's just like a boundary I put up. Or, name your boundary, and like have that conversation with your friend. And if they like, forget or something like that, of course. But like, if it's something where they're almost pushing you or like, it's not a big deal. Like,
or
he's
teasing
really cool.
you.
Teasing you about your boundaries.
Yeah, that's definitely not a red flag. That definitely is a red flag. That's not a good trait. And again, we're talking about your friendships are important. Yeah. Take everything serious. Don't just, you can't get anywhere in life living anyhow. Yeah. If you have a goal, if you know that you're called for more, if you have a certain direction of your life, that direction and that destination comes with protocol. And if these people are breaking the protocol of your life, then it's just not good it's just not healthy to be with. And don't just be with somebody just to be with them. Don't just be with them if they look cool. Because that's what a lot of people do. Talk about that. And I know that firsthand. Like, you want to hang with somebody because they got the clout on Instagram, or they're just cool, or they're really artsy, or they're fit, or like they're this, they're that. It's like, but at your expense, at the expense of your good character that you've sowed in, that you've grown, you've grown into at the expense of your peace, of your safety, of your security, it's not worth it.
It's better to be alone than to be destroyed.
Yeah. Wow, that's good.
You know what I mean? It's better to be alone than to be destroyed in the company of others.
Woo.
And so it's like, you gotta really realize that sometimes it might just be patience of just waiting for the right crowd. Because, like, if I'm alone, nobody ain't doing nothing. But, like, if I'm around the wrong crowd and they keep almost chipping down my dreams, where it, like, next thing you know it, I'm like, okay, well, it's not a big deal now. What happens when you're friends with that person 3 years later and you had this big potential and they just chipped away at it?
Yeah, little by little.
And it's like, now you just have this much left.
Just a stump
and you
left.
find yourself living in the same cycles that they do. And so it's just like really just being careful with who you surround yourself, because even again in the garden, certain vegetables do not grow well with other vegetables. Period. You need basal relationships for your tomato self. That's what I'm saying. You need basal relationships, not what chokes out tomatoes. I wish I knew, y'all. Let's just say lemongrass.
Lemongrass.
I don't know.
Rosemary. I don't know.
I think rosemary I think herbs in general just makes tomatoes taste
herbs really
better.
Yeah,
guys, if you know me, it's the amount of times that I speak about food is honestly ridiculous.
Hey, food is beautiful.
But yeah, y'all.
Then another one, last red flag, is when they're overly absorbed with their self. And it's not a mutual connection. It's just, as soon as you meet up with them, it's always about them. Always about their problems. Always about, whenever you have something going on or you want to share what's going on in your life, it's not a lot of attention, or they don't really have input, or they don't really have advice or comfort or anything like that. But it's so self-absorbed. That's a red flag as well.
No, that's really good and stuff like that, because again, like, you just have to really, it's also not wasting your time.
Don't waste your time.
You know what I mean? It's just like you're almost like a paid audience. Like you're at a concert for a show you did not want to see. Like if the person is like always speaking about themselves and stuff like that, and everything always has to turn back to them and everything, and if they're using their life to give you an example, or like say if you're asking for advice and they're like, okay, when this situation happened to me and this situation I think that's a little bit different, because they're just showing you like what they did. Like if you want to do that, you can. If you don't, but like if it's like they always turn the tables and it's always about them again, and then not only that, but to add on to that is if like it's always about them, and then when the conversation gets to you, they quickly try to get it back, or they'll like give you like a half behind conversation when it's concerning stuff with you. Then again, it might be time. And the reason why we are just speaking to all of you about this, and then I'm so sorry, I know we keep saying the last flag, but another thing as well, if you have a friend where every time you get done hanging out with them, you find yourself more like the person you are not wanting to become, more than the person that you're wanting to become, then it might need to be time to separate ways. Because I've seen people where I was like, oh, that's not a good friend. And I'll be like, hey, like you might want to be careful on this person, maybe not. They're like, no. And I'm like, okay, actually, I don't think this is a good idea. And they're like, no, Kenya, you crazy. Like you always say, like, and it's like, oh, I'm not always saying stuff, but you know,
so deep.
You be going so deep. It's not that deep. But like, next thing you know it, 6 months later, that person's a whole different person.
They're like the person that they came out of being.
Exactly.
And we've seen it. It's like we saw the progress in people, progress in their character, progress in their speech, in the way they carry themselves. Then that one relationship, it's almost like it just goes back. And we start to see the person that they used to be more than the person that they're striving to be. Again, it's like that relationship, whatever it may be, oh, they're cool, oh, they're funny, but at the expense of them going back.
You do not want to go. I don't want to. I won't go back. I can't go back to the way it used to be before your presence came and changed me. That's period. Good. You cannot go back. So what this episode is to help you move forward, y'all.
Yes.
To help you move forward.
Keep going.
And again, you can do all of this. I don't even want to say cut him out. You could do all this separation. You know what I mean? In love, but you need to do it.
Yeah.
But you need to do it because if you want to go forward, sometimes there's ties. And those ties are those friendships. And you're like, man, I can't get past a certain point in my life. The soil's right. I'm in my word. I'm worshiping.
Come on.
Yeah. But then next thing you know, you friends with Gina. I don't know. I didn't want to say
Katrina.
the name of one of my friends. They'd be like, okay,
what if it was Katrina and it's like, and it's literally Katrina? Like Katrina is just wrecking your life. Like,
but yeah. It's just like you might need
for all those who went through that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We didn't mean to bring it back up. But no, cut off those ties and move forward.
Cut off those ties and move forward. Excel in life. Keep making progress. You're doing well. You're on the right path. Let go of those weeds. Cut those weeds. Get those unwanted plants that are stunning your growth. And keep going to another level of glory and glory. We love you guys. This was Wise Conversations.
Wise Conversations.
And choose your friendships wisely.
Yes, as Facts. I have a bug in my eye. All right, y'all.
Love y'all.
Love y'all. Yeah.